Hello, I'm the Locomotive Engineer. Over the course of a 3-part series of videos, I recently showed the drawing process that brought my model of Via Rail's new Siemens Charger diesel to life. Now that the modeling is done, however, this diesel deserves to be showcased properly. That means it is time to export it to Blender and get it ready for rendering. To start, we will import the model into my typical Blender template. I already have the camera and lighting adjusted to my taste, so we can jump right into the render prep. A quick test render shows the default state of a model imported from SketchUp. It looks pretty nice, but it is clearly flat, muted, and a bit bland. Setting up a model in Blender is a refreshingly straightforward process these days. The main thing we need to do is adjust the materials to emulate the glossy look of fresh paint. To do that, there are two main settings to adjust in the Surface Properties menu, Sheen and Clear Coat. Previous experimentation has shown that choosing values between 1 and 2 for both of these settings generally gives the effects that I like. Once these two settings have been changed, I generally need to shift the colors themselves as well. Colors typically show up much lighter and more muted in Blender than they do in SketchUp, so this is usually a simple adjustment down to a darker tone of the same base import color. From here, it is just a matter of repeating these steps for each color, with periodic render checks to see how the model is looking along the way. The model looks just about how I want it now. Until recently, my next step would usually be to try a few different static poses to show off all the various angles. After coming across this excellent tutorial by Kev Binge on how to set up a camera for basic animations, however, I have started incorporating some 3D fly-arounds into my modeling showcases. As you can see here, I adjusted my camera to be constrained along a circular path, and set it to focus on an invisible reference cube. This makes positioning the camera a lot more simple. In this case, I already have an animation set up that shows the camera sweeping from one side of this charger lineup down to the other. The rotational position of the camera along the path is controlled using a single value in the Object Constraint menu, the offset factor. This allows us to simply specify a fraction of a full rotation for the camera position, instead of requiring a calculation of a specific angle. The tracking cube makes centering the camera a remarkably easy task. Instead of adjusting rotation values within the camera itself, we can simply move the cube wherever we want the camera to look, and all these settings are calculated automatically as part of Blender's constraint tracking. Setting up a camera animation with this rig is quite intuitive, so I definitely recommend checking out Kev's tutorial in full if you're interested in learning more. With all that said, it's time to show off some renders. Enjoy! Before we finish up, I'll give you a quick peek at a fun little side project that I started after I completed my model. You can probably guess what I have in mind here if you're familiar with your VIA Rail history. Stay tuned for more about these models in a later video.